Invest or become a slave to the system. This is literally all I'm thinking about. I realize either you make your money work for you, or you're going to basically be enslaved to work for the rest of your life. I don't care if you're making $50,000 a year, $60,000 a year, $80,000 a year. That's the sense of what is it? False sense of security that they lull us into with these jobs. And the funny thing is, these jobs can be gone just like that. But yet we still believe that we're so secure that we don't have to worry about investing. It's not for me. I'm making $90,000 a year until you get laid off, and that is no longer an option. And hopefully, for the people that's enslaving you, that you bought a house maybe with mortgage, maybe they got you on a nice interest rate. Maybe you got a nice decent car. Maybe it was a little bit too expensive, and maybe now they're kind of milking you a little bit more. Maybe you got comfortable and you like to go out every morning and get some breakfast food, which isn't bad, but you start to realize that these things are starting to own you. And when that happens, you're a slave to the system. My plan is to just do the opposite, to not be reliant on them for anything. And it's hard because they guilt trip us. They make you feel bad if you don't want to work for them. And you'll never hear anybody say, oh man, that's a great idea, you shouldn't do that, or you should pull back. Everybody is going to be afraid, and that's because their programming is so good. No matter what they tell you, nothing is as they say it is. Everything is okay until they decide that it's not okay. And once it's not okay, then you're the one that's going to pay for it. And all I'm saying is, this is why you invest, so you can pull back from them in an effective way. There's a lot of other ways, but they're not as effective. And obviously, there's nothing wrong with buying a home and having a decent car. But the way they get you is they make you think you can afford more than what you can actually afford. So then you just end up getting screwed because you took out too much. Now you can't pay extra to pay it down, and they're gonna milk you. Now, at least in that scenario, you'd have a home if you can make up the payments. But what if you do get laid off? What if something happens and you're not as fortunate as maybe you thought you were? This is where you start maybe selling assets, you pick up another job, you do whatever you can, but you're just pumping the system. All the while they're hitting you with late fees and different type of charges and other fees and different obligations, and you have to log into this account and you have to do this. All these things keep you enslaved to these people. And all I'm saying is, if you don't invest, you will be a slave. And it's kind of just like that. The good thing is investing is a great opportunity. But for the people that just rely on one stream of income, you better hope you're making over 100K, and you better hope that you actually have very low bills. Because with inflation, all these different things they're doing, it's almost impossible. It's not impossible. You can maneuver with a lot less money. There are people that are doing that. I feel I'm one of them, that can maneuver with a lesser amount of money. But realistically, I chose that because I didn't want the stress. And that's also another thing. If you're making good money, let's say, well, it is good money. if you're making over, let's say 60K, I would consider that decent money, pretty good money. But the thing is, once they get you roped in, now they can start adding a little extra stuff that you got to keep doing. And you'll be less inclined to fight them on that because you have stuff you got to pay off. You're cutting it so close you can't say anything. You're just trapped. And if they can stall you along while hitting you with all these fees, one, you're not going to build anything. But two, hopefully for them, you go negative because the way they set things up, something will happen and you won't have the money for it. And either you'll let it go and you'll get a ticket, or you'll let it go and maybe your car breaks down. So basically, you invest so that when it's time for you to leave, you can leave. And that's why I'm on a goal to really lower my bills. My bills are already quite low, but even so, I plan to take more steps just to be more free. And sometimes the answer isn't always getting a better job or getting a better 9 to 5. Maybe you should be looking for a better job. And I also realize now that because my bills are so low, if I could just make, let's say, $2,000 off YouTube a month, that would put me in such a good spot to where I could do a lot more things. And it wouldn't be about the money. If I wanted the money, I would go back to another 9 to 5 that pays really good. But I want the freedom that comes along with investing and building a business. That's what you actually want. That's freedom. That's what you chase. You chase freedom. You don't chase money, because if you chase money, you're going to be a slave. And you, hopefully for them, you don't invest, so you are a lifelong customer.